Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mila, your Alexandrian Archives. I know I look a bit not entirely put together, but that's because you're not going to see me for very long. So today's video is just a typical tour of my Kobo Sage, all the books I have, all the audiobooks, all the sort of notebooks. I don't really go into notebooks in depth because that's just personal stuff and surprise stuff as well, so I don't want you guys seeing it. But yeah, please enjoy my voiceovers and me getting tired halfway through but having to pull through it because you know, it's just so difficult to do like voiceovers where it's like overhead and you're just talking and you're not really talking to the camera, like you're not seeing yourself, so it's very tiring and I feel like I can take like a 20-hour nap. So without further ado, let's go over to, you know, past Mila because I already filmed the video and this is future Mila filming the intro. So peace out. I will see you in the next clips. Alrighty, so here we have my Kobo. Let me just pull up here so that it'll be comfortable. Here we are. This is a Penguin Classics-esque cover screen saver that I did. This is the School of Athens painting, and I really love this painting. It has Alexandrian Archives, Learn, Read, Discuss, which is sort of the motto I came up with for my channel and for sort of my website and everything related to the Alexandrian Archives. And I thought it would be fitting to have like the painting depicting a bunch of philosophers about it, and like the library-esque painting, because my username comes from the Library of Alexandria, which is the one that burnt down, not the modern one, but the one that burnt down specifically. So this is the general build of the Kobo Sage. I'm sure you've probably seen a bajillion and one videos about this. I do have a review video where I talk about the pros and cons as someone who reads a lot and likes to annotate and likes to take notes and stuff, and someone who's not in a note-heavy school program, university program, in the sense that it's not like medicine or like chemistry, science, computer science, stuff like that. That would require probably something stronger like an iPad. So here is that. I apologize for my gangly nails. And we have the two buttons. What I don't really like is that the screen is flush with the bezels, so there's no like space between them. Like it's not below the bezels. I'm not sure how it's not like set in, which I find it easy to have a lot of dust, to accumulate a lot of dust, which I'm not a huge fan of, but we have to make do with what we have. And then I'm just going to show you the textured back. There we go. And then here's the power button. I don't know how I feel about the power button being in the back. I'm not sure I like it necessarily. We have the Rakuten Kobo logo. And then these are magnets for the case, which I also have. So there we go. I'm just going to turn this on. Now you have the home screen. So here you have the basics of an e-reader. You have the time, brightness, right? I don't think I need to really go through this, but you can amp up the brightness very easily, and I have natural light on auto, so my bedtime is 9. Well, bedtime, you know. I don't actually go to bed at 9 every single day. That's not how it works here. But yeah, I usually don't have it at super bright during the day. I do brighten it up during the night sometimes, even lower it during the night, so that's why the natural light is not on. But there we go. I'm just going to turn it on auto again. I'm just gonna brighten this up. There we go. So these are a couple of books that I had gotten, that I downloaded recently. We have a bunch of Jared Tolkien books, and then we have my current read, which is Brandon Sanderson's Way of Kings, which I have read before, and I do have the counter, so 27 hours to go, and I can probably read it in less than 27 hours because I am a fast reader, but that's beside the point. So here we have my books, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go all the way down to page 20 and we're going to work our way up. So here we have, I'm just going to move it up closer, we have The Way of Kings audiobook and The Hobbit audiobook that I got through Kobo Audiobooks. So I had the subscription service for a while, and then I realized, I don't really do audiobooks that often, so I paused it and I still have like 6 credits. So if you have any audiobook recommendations, do let me know. So the Kobo Sage actually connects with your Bluetooth headphones, and you can listen to audiobooks via the Kobo Sage. The speakers are alright, like it's alright sounding, but I do prefer using my phone rather than my Kobo. It's just a preference thing. And then we will go up. And then we have a couple of other ones. We have Words of Radiance as well as Oathbringer. We have City of Brass. I didn't really like the narrator for this one, so I kind of regret getting it, but besides the point. We have Les Fiancés de l'Hiver by Christelle Labo, which is something I tried to get into after one of my good friends, Alexandra, said, like, hey, I love this series, please read it. And I was like, okay. I never really got that far into it. I find French reading is a little bit difficult for me, despite me being very fluent. So then we have all 3 Mistborn, and I have read Mistborn 1 and 2. I just haven't read 3. I also guessed the big reveal at the end of book 2 for book 3. So, fun. Then we have Lockwood & Co., the first book, which is The Whispering Skull. I think I ended up just reading it on my Kobo and just, didn't really listen to the audiobook. We have the audiobook for Babel. We have the audiobook for Ovid's Metamorphoses. And then we get into the ebook. So we have Yumi the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. Have I read it? No. We have The Young Alexander, The Making of Alexander the Great by Alex Rosen. I have not read it. Winter Harvest, which is an arc. I just haven't really deleted it. So you'll find a lot of arcs that I haven't deleted, and you might find some repeats. So, anyways. Trust of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. Haven't read it yet. The Last Olympian, which I want to do a huge reread of the Riordanverse books. So that's sort of going to happen. 10 Myths About Israel by Ilan Pape, I believe that's how you say his name. This was after sort of, I guess, October 7th went off, and I decided I want to learn more about the region and the situation of it all. And he is a Israeli Jewish scholar who is very, very known for, being very critical of Israel and their Zionist ideologies. So he's very staunchly anti-Zionist, and yeah, I've heard really good things about it. I just haven't gotten through all of it. It is very heavy. The Tainted Cup, which I actually have a physical copy of, so I technically have no excuse. Anyways, A Sweet Sting of Salt by Rose Sutherland. I believe this is a retelling of the Selkie wife or something like that, so I thought it was really interesting. I love the cover of this. It's just so stunning. And yeah, Sea of Monsters, again with the Rick Riordan thing. Rare Appearance of Rachel Price is something I downloaded after I had finished the Good Girls Guide to Murder series, and I wanted more, but I just never ended up reading it because I was like, okay, I need something else. Battle of the Labyrinth, Titan's Curse, same thing. Search of Zarathustra by Paul Kirashek is something I stumbled upon, and I was like, ooh, Central Asia, ooh, Zarathustra, ooh, Zoroastrianism. This is interesting. So I started reading it, and it's really interesting. I do want a physical copy just because I find nonfiction easier to read when it's a physical copy. But that's a whole other thing. Orientalism by Edward W. Said is one I also have a physical copy of. Excuse me. So, yeah. I actually also have this cover, the same exact edition, so I downloaded it before I found it at a secondhand bookstore. So then we have, again, another Palestine book on Palestine by Noam Chomsky and Ilan Pape. Another one that's based off of sort of the whole situation. I'm trying not to use the specific words because I don't want to be yelled at by YouTube, nor do I want this video taken down. Then we have Mystery Cults in the Ancient World by can't even see the, by Hugh Bowden, I believe. And this one was interesting because someone I follow on Instagram who does like ancient history books kind of thing, she read it and she recommended it, and it was really interesting. I like cults in the ancient sense of the word, not necessarily the modern sense of the word. So I like learning about like the mystery cults because they seem interesting. The Lightning Thief, self-explanatory. 100 Years War on Palestine by Rashid Khalidi, also self-explanatory. Again, you will see a lot of Palestinian related books. You will see some Palestinian fiction, and yeah, so this is your sign to read Palestinian fiction. Then we have Glorious Exploits by Ferdy Lennon, and this cover is so goofy and it's so funny to me. This is a book that one of my good friends, Irene, read, and she is also on Instagram, so I highly recommend checking her out. We'll put her, stuff in the comments, in the description box, and it's just, the cover is so funny. And, I forget exactly what this is about, but I think that it's like a bunch of prisoners, based on this, sort of taking over, I believe it's between like Athens and like Syracuse or something like that. And they put on this like play for the prisoners or something like that. Something similar. Don't quote me on that. Then we have An Arc of Gilgamesh by Emily H. Wilson. I believe Gilgamesh is out already, or it will be out soon. When you see this video, it will be out, I believe, if I am not mistaken. Let me just double check that really quickly because I just have my whoops, that happened. Oh dear. Things are falling apart, guys. Just give me a second. Let me just double check what, Gilgamesh, Emily H. Wilson. It is out on August 6th. So by the time you see this video, it will be out. So please do go check it out. It is the second series in a trilogy retelling the Epic of Gilgamesh, and if you like the likes of Madeline Miller as well as Jennifer Saint, you're gonna like this one because Mesopotamian mythology is so underrated and there's so many things you can do about it, especially with feminine rage and feminism, and there's just so much you can do about it. And I think that Greek mythology retellings are a bit overdone and also overrated. So there you go. Then we have Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And this one I also have a physical copy of. I have the Penguin Classics edition. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't love this cover. I think there's another cover that I really like. I find that one more interesting. So maybe if I learn how to rebind stuff, I will take that cover. Anyways, so very interesting. I remember reading this one in like grade 10 or 11, I believe, and not enjoying it as much, but I think I will enjoy it this time around. 5 Survive, again, author of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Wanted more of that, decided I'm going to focus on something else. Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine, self-explanatory. Death of Caesar was something that my friend Erica over on Moan Inc. recommended. She talked about, and I'm not a Roman sort of history girly, I'm more of a Greek history, ancient Greece, and not so much ancient Rome. So I figure that my way of understanding ancient Rome even better will come in form of nonfiction. So yeah, A Day, Fall, and Night by Samantha Shannon is the next book. And this one is like the prequel to Priory of the Orange Tree, which I really, really, really loved back when I read it. I believe I read the 800-page hardback version in 10 days. So you can calculate how many how many pages that is per day. So I flew through it. It was phenomenal. I really loved it. I know there are some criticisms and some critiques on Samantha Shannon and her writing and all that stuff, and the amount that she's writing, or the pushback, pushing back the release dates and everything. But, like, y'all don't throw that much shade at, like, George R. R. Martin, Scott Lynch, Like, you don't, or Patrick Rothfuss. Y'all don't throw that much shade, okay? don't throw shade at Samantha Shannon. She's, she has some disabilities. She has like chronic illnesses. So that affects her writing. And, be glad that she's able to do it to a certain extent. So the next one is a French book, which is Jules Verne's 5 semaines en ballon, which is 5 weeks in a balloon, I believe. That's the English translation, roughly. And I love these, like, vintage-y covers, but I don't love the small format that they come in. I wish we had, like, the vintage covers, but in a bigger format, book-wise. So, there's that. And then we have, it's gone to the beginning. Then we have An Arc of the Blood-Timmed Tide by Stephen Aryan, which I haven't read. Whoops, it's out. So go read it. It's the second book to a trilogy, which follows the Mongol invasion of the Persian Empire. It's really, really good. This one is, oh dear, I can't read that. Voyage et aventure du capitaine Hatteras. So the Voyage and Adventures of Captain Hatteras, I guess. I'm not too sure how you translate it, because some of the translations aren't word for word. They're just like completely different, so I never know. The next one is The Wolf Girl, the Greeks and the Gods, and I believe this is something to do with, like, I don't remember, either it's the Greco-Persian War or something like that, but the illustrations in this are really stunning. I'm not going to touch it because then it'll go to the top. Anyways, Poppy War Trilogy, which I believe is all 3 books combined into one. And it says I'm 35% through. That's because I'm 35% through the whole thing. I'm quite a ways through Dragon Republic, actually. Next one I have is Inanna by Emily H. Wilson. This is the first book to Gilgamesh and the first book of the trilogy. I haven't finished it yet, but I will at some point. Next one is Olivia Blake's One for My Enemy. I do have a physical copy of this. I have this stunning edition from, like, Indigo, and I was like, ooh, this is interesting. Not sure how I feel about Olivia Blake. I just think that sometimes her writing is so, like, pretentious, but it's not even a nice pretentious. The next one is 5 Broken Blades by May Corland, and this one comes from a recommendation by Carrie. From Carrie TV. Oh, excuse me. Then I have Dragon Republic, which is the second book to the Poppy War trilogy. Then I have Lost Books of the Odyssey by Zachary Mason. And this one was another one by the same person, recommended by the same person that, like, did the Mystery Cults post. And this is very interesting. It's like other books of the Odyssey that are presumably lost. Ant's Gift, A Study of the Shahnameh, is another nonfiction that I've been wanting to get into because I'm doing something with the Shahnameh. But anyways, Alexandria, The City That Changed the World by Islam Issa. This came along after the whole Cleopatra on Netflix showdown controversy, so to speak. Yeah. If y'all know, y'all know. I don't want to talk about it anymore. The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I changed the cover of this, so that's why it's like this Penguin Books edition, which I really like. I'm not the biggest fan of the newer covers, I'm not the biggest fan of the modern covers. I just like this one. I think it gives way to the sort of classical studies vibes, dark academia vibes, because can you get any more dark academia than Penguin Classics, really? And like Oxford Classics? No, you can't. Then we have the Chukchi Bible, which is interesting because my dad would mention Chukchi a lot, and I decided, screw it, what is this? So they're an indigenous group in Russia, and they live on the Chukotka Peninsula, and this author is known as the father of Chukchi literature, and I believe he's one of the only Chukchi authors, and he wrote both in the Chukchi language as well as in Russian. This is a translation of his Chukchi Bible, which is a bunch of stories that his grandfather, the last shaman of Chukotka, of the region, told him. So, yeah, it's really interesting. Now I have the Ancient Greek Hero in 24 Hours by Gregory Nagy. I believe this video is gonna come out before the nonfiction TBR, but I do talk about it briefly, so I'll leave it at that. Babel by R.F. Kuang. I haven't finished this one, and I know you guys are gonna be like, how could you not finish it? You're like the biggest R.F. Kuang fan. Like, I know. I'm sorry. I have no excuse, really. Moving on. Vultures in the House of Silence is another one that's like Mongolian invasion of the Persian Empire, and the dedication to this is so sweet. It's so touching. I will let you discover that for yourself. The Cleopatras, the Forgotten Queens of Egypt. I believe this is the arc that I got from the publisher. So this is a nonfiction about all the Cleopatras, not just Cleopatra the Seventh, which is the one that we know most about, right? The one that's more in the spotlight. Then we have The Justice of Kings by Richard Swan. I don't know how I feel about this trilogy. I probably won't finish it for a while because it was just not clicking. It felt all over the place, and I was just not particularly interested. In Search of Zarathustra, this is the other cover thing. Yeah, I think I like the previous cover. It's like simpler and nicer. I don't know if I really like this one. I don't know, it just feels tacky. Memento Mori by Eunice Hong is, I believe, something to do with like a Korean family as well as like Greek mythology. I don't remember too much. But yeah, the thing is that it's in PDF format, which I hate reading on the Kobo, so that's why I put a pause on it. The next one is the Emily Wilson translation of the Iliad by Homer, and I actually have a paperback copy, so slay. I got it recently. But yeah, whoops. Oh dear. Okay. Just checking my camera. Whoops. So yeah, definitely if you're interested in the differences between all the different Iliad translation, check this one out. The next one is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies and Emily Wilde's Map of the Underlands, which says not read, but I did finish these. 5 stars. I believe this one was 4.5, but I believe I'm going to lower that rating because I didn't enjoy this one as much. This one, on the other hand, I have no idea what that is. Oh, this is just an article, so don't worry about it. This is The Burning God. It's a separate sort of edition of it, so it's not the compact one. Self-explanatory, last book in the Poppy War trilogy. I have not finished it because there's a character death, and I'm not ready to experience that. Blood Over Bright Haven by Emma Wong. It's an Emma Wong book. I don't even remember what it's about. I think it might have dragons. I don't remember. Thieves by Paul Cartledge. I'm not sure why this didn't pop up in the ebook section, sort of. But anyways, this is just an ebook of it. Or maybe this is a sample. I don't remember. A Crane Among Wolves. This is just like a notes that I like exported and imported back. Anyways. So, A Crane Among Wolves by June Her. 5 stars. I did read it. That's why it says finished. Then we have Darker by 4 by June Seal Tan. It says not read, but I did read it, so don't worry about it. These ones are just like the covers so that it's easier for me to take pictures. Air of Venus. This one is in PDF format, and again, I hate reading in PDF formats. So publishers, please take note. We have The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty, and I love her City of Brass book. I haven't finished that trilogy, but I'm really excited to get to this. I started reading it like maybe a year ago, like a bit after it came out. I don't remember when it came out, but anyways, a bit after it came out, I tried reading it, and it wasn't clicking at the time, and I think I was in a reading slump. So yeah, Between Dragons and Their Wrath by Devin Matson. This one was also not clicking. That's just my excuse for a lot of things, but it's important that it clicks, you know. One Among Crows by Veronica Roth. This is Slavic folklore, and I believe it's fairly short. But the thing with Veronica Roth is, for me, her writing is sort of like, I don't know, I'm still mad about the ending of Allegiant, okay? So it's gonna take a lot for her to come back to my authors that I may potentially read or something, you know? Then we have the Emily Wilson translation of the Odyssey. Self-explanatory. We have The Poets of Alexandria, which is a non-fiction book I found. We have Les Enfants du Capitaine Graham by Jules Verne, and I have the English physical copy, which is called In Search of Castaways, which is, again, In Search of the Castaways, sorry. Again, this shows that, like, you know, it doesn't really... The English translation is not going to be reflective of the French title. This one is Forest of Stolen Girls. I'm not sure why it looks weird. Oops. I'm not sure why this is big either. Why is it so big? Yeah, it just looks a little weird. I don't know why the cover is weird. Anyways. This one is... Oh. I don't know what that is. Oh, okay. This one is Monstrous Knights. It's a tour book, and tour books are notorious for not giving me... for not giving me covers. So that's why I have to, like, raise it up to read it. This one is Monstrous Knights. I read it. Ignored the 1% I read. Anyways. This one is Blood of Old Kings. I have not read it. Blood of the Old Kings, my bad. I have not read it. I apologize for the noise. That's an airplane, I guess. Decided they're more important. The Amazons by Adrienne Mayer. This is a newer cover, which I'm not a huge fan of. I have the old cover. I have the physical copy, so just ignore that. God Killer by Hannah Kanner. I have not read this, but I will soon. Babylon by Paul Kruszek. Another non-fiction TBR book. This Fatal Kiss, which is a Slavic folklore, Polish folklore with rusalkas and all that fun stuff. And it is, I believe, the October Book Club pick. And again, no cover, because that's the way that some publishers work. They don't give us covers. We have The Count of Monte Cristo, self-explanatory. Red Palace, Book of Doors, Studying Drowning. We have... This is a story from the Shahnameh. Let me just show you. Okay, it looks weird, but Rostam, Tale of Love and War from the Shahnameh. So this is the Penguin Classics version. Highly recommend reading the Shahnameh. It's phenomenal. So I believe one of these is the abridged version. The other one is unabridged. I'm not sure which one's which, but anyways. To Shape a Dragon's Breath is indigenous dragon fantasy. The Things We Do to Our Friends. I've heard really messed up things about it, and I saw someone like rate this 5 stars, and I was like, I need this. Shanghai Landers was an interesting concept. I don't remember what it's about, but I think there's some time travel thing between families or something like that. Real Americans by Rachel Kong is another one. It's another one that I saw someone like read or recommend or whatever. It was just interesting concept. This is the Ministry of Time. Ignore this. This is the Ministry of Time. This one sort of blew up because of Book of the Month. And one of my favorite booktubers read it and really loved it. So I was like, I need to read this. Marc Levy and Guillaume Musso are 2 French authors, or like authors that write in French. So I was like, I want to read more French books. It did not go very well. I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons by Peter S. Beagle. He's a really big name in fantasy, but I've never read his books. So ignore that, I guess. Ebony and Gate, I believe, is the first book to this one series. I forgot the name of, but you know what I mean. This is just the ebook version. I do have the physical, which I plan on reading, but isn't that what we all say? Then we have another Marc Levy book. Ignore this. Then we have The Phoenix Keeper, which is an arc, which I did start. I have it on my shelf. I have a physical copy, so there's that. This book, Vin Kingdom by Tahar Mafi. I was reading this, and I was actually not hating it, surprisingly. Phoenix and The Firebird is something to do with like Russian folklore, like Slavic folklore, and like Chinese mythology. So I thought this was interesting and requested it. The God in the Gumiho by Sophie Kim was also something I requested, but I didn't get it, so I just downloaded an ebook of it. And I just, I don't know. Whatever, right? Shahnameh is something I've been reading on the sideline. Into the Forest, it's like a bunch of short stories, and I started reading it, but I was not enjoying myself, to be honest. Andrea Stewart, The Gods Below. I don't know what it is with this author. I cannot stand her writing style. I don't know what it is with the prose. I was just not interested. The cover is stunning, though, which is a shame. But this is an arc, I believe. In the Shadow of the Bull by Eleanor Coons. This is like Crete based, I think. It was an interesting concept, so I downloaded it. 13th Child, Heir, Heart-Shaped Lies, Daughter of Chaos are all arcs. I DNF'd Heart-Shaped Lies. I have a post about it. Heir is the sequel trilogy, I guess, it's the next sort of trilogy for the Ember and the Ashes. It's set in the future after the events of Ember and the Ashes, and I need to finish Ember and the Ashes before I even attempt to read this book, just for me. I know you don't have to read an Ember and the Ashes, but I just want to. Atalanta, I enjoyed. Don't mind the 83% read. I think I was taking pictures of some of the stuff I highlighted and stuff. Daughter of Chaos, as you can see, there's no really... Again, it pisses me off. There's no cover, but this one's really good, so I was reading it. Drowned Kingdom is, has Atlantis, so I was like, I need to read this. And then we have Bonesmith, Threadlight. This is like a complete trilogy. Silverblood, Promise, Last Ranger, Godblind, Empire of Silence. This is my sister's book, and Rager of Marzana. I believe Threadlight was recommended by Elliot Brooks. Empire of Silence is something that one of my favorite bookstagrammers talks constantly about because she finished the series, as well as Daniel Green, who's another one, who's another booktuber I like to watch. Godblind, I forget where I got that from. These two just looked interesting. I remember reading a lot of positive reviews of the Silverblood Promise. I just haven't gotten to it. Ranger of Marzana is really interesting. I think it has some sort of Slavic folklore inspired stuff, which is going to be interesting to read. The next one is When the Moon Hatched. Yeah. You know what I'm going to say about this. I wanted to give it a shot. Of Jade and Dragons by Amber Chen. I can't remember where I got this from. Anyways, we have Legacy of Ash by Matthew Ward, which was also an interesting cover. We have Emperor's Edge, which I've read book 1 of. I'm in the middle of book 2, and it's a trilogy. It's the first 3 books in a bundle. So then we have Babylonia, which again is in PDF format, and it just pisses me off. So I added a nice cover to make myself less pissed off. Then we have Farah Noorzad and The Ring of Fate, which is by a friend, so highly recommend. This is just a thing. I don't remember what it was. Then we have The Scarlet Alchemist, which I believe this is an ebook. It's not an arc, but I did get an arc of it. I did not finish it, but anyways. We have Fellowship of the Ring by Tolkien, Scholar and the Last Fairy Door, which is an arc. So I was reading it. It's really good, actually. The Count of Monte Cristo. Watermoon, which is another arc, and I believe this one is formatted a little weirdly, so I just have been avoiding reading it. Bedtime Stories for Kids, don't mind that. That's from my sister. Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones, all that fun stuff. And The Amazons, which is the cover that I have in physical format. We're almost done, guys. We have Two Towers, which I read, 5 stars. Breath of the Dragon, which I'm not going to talk about because it's under S&P boycott. Emperor's Edge, which is... This is, I believe, just the cover sort of file. I import a bunch of cover files. I import a Canva file into my e-reader so I can take pictures of it so it doesn't look weird. Then we have The Lightning Thief, and then we have The Lightning Thief again. I believe one of these is all 5 books combined. I can't tell you which one. Probably this one since it's 3% read. But the formatting got weird as I was exporting it. Anyways, whole other thing. Lord of the Rings, Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. 5 stars. I can't believe I finished the trilogy. It's crazy. Rain and Ruin by J.D. Evans is a book that I got a recommendation from Elliot again. She enjoyed it. I feel like I'm in a reading slump. That's why I'm rereading The Way of Kings, which I know will be 5 stars. So I will get to that after. This is like a reader's companion. So it like talks about stuff that happens in Lord of the Rings and sort of explains it. Then we have Letters of J.R.R. Tolkien Revised and Expanded Edition, which is the same version that I have a physical copy of. Biography of J.R.R. Tolkien by Humphrey Carpenter. We have The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien, The Fall of Arthur by J.R.R. Tolkien, Way of Kings, and then the 3 that one of them which I accidentally like tapped or whatever. So, yeah, so that is it. I do have a bunch of notebooks, which I'm not really gonna show or talk about, but here are my notebooks. I have a lot of them. So we're just gonna not talk about that too much. These are the settings. This is the home page. And then once I turn this off, that's it. So thank you for watching and happy reading. I will see you in the next one. Bye!